Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we'll be talking conceptually about the future of Overwatch, not just as a game, but also in terms of the larger ambitions Blizzard has for the IP. With many changes happening this year, now seems like a good time to talk about it and what it could mean for all of you guys. The first thing I want to do is leave the actual game to one side and look at the creative decisions Blizzard made while building the world that the game is set in. There was a recent keynote speech that Jeff Kaplan gave at the DICE 2017 Summit. There he detailed how and why the creative team made the choices that they did, the most pertinent to this conversation being the choice to set Overwatch in an overtly hopeful future. How they came to that decision was fascinating. Jeff recalls a time where Blizzard had noticed something unusual. When constructing new social spaces for World of Warcraft, Jeff mentions that Blizzard learned the Burning Crusade lesson. In constructing Outland, they noticed from their data that players, over time, began filtering back to the older, friendlier and less oppressive social spaces instead of using the darker-themed new ones. The lesson they took from that was that oppressiveness breeds fatigue. It's the idea that if you make an environment physically or emotionally imposing, over time, people will become affected by this and seek a more comfortable environment. In short, the opposite is also true. If you make a world that people want to be in, they will return more often and for longer periods of time. Now think about the world in which Overwatch is set. It's Earth, not our Earth, but a hopeful fantasy of what our world could be like. Sure, it's had catastrophe, the Omnic crisis looms menacingly in the recent past, as does the dissolution of Overwatch as an entity, sabotaged by malign self-interest and politics. But at the point we join the story, Winston has decided that his hope for the future overrules his sense of practicality. He reactivates the Overwatch initiative, and that's where our story as players really begins. Think back to the cinematics. The first is Winston fending off Reaper and contacting Tracer, and then it's the two young boys in the Overwatch museum helping Tracer and Winston fend off Widow and Reaper as they try to seize Doomfist Gauntlet. In fact, there's one very telling moment from the Winston cinematic that Jeff even has as a still in his keynote, and it comes from a conversation a young Winston has with his creator when he shows him the planet Earth for the very first time. Never accept the world as it appears to be, dare to see it for what it could be. In a way, that's not a conversation between a scientist and his experimental gorilla baby, it's a conversation between Blizzard and us. The game openly wants its users to dream of a better world, and to feel that aspirational instinct when playing their game. So why is this even important? Why should any of you guys care? Well, the answer is because the hopefulness isn't just a backdrop for a shooter game. Blizzard are taking this philosophy much further, and it extends into their future plans. In a lot of ways, Blizzard are trying to make Overwatch a larger cultural movement. They want to bring that hopeful attitude into our real world. It feels like Blizzard want to make Overwatch a Star Wars-like IP in terms of scale, with the audience becoming invested in a much wider culture. Hence the cinematics, action figures and comics. They want people to identify with it in a positive way. I actually think the Star Trek comparison is a lot closer. Think about it. Star Trek was an incredibly progressive television show. Not just the original series with its multiracial crew and a hopeful future, but with a federation that had let go of very human problems such as war with itself and the concept of money. In this world, humanity had outgrown its baser instincts and instead had focused on exploration and scientific discovery. This is something that ordinary people in our real world identified with. We live in a very divided and polarized world, and I think it's natural for people to aspire to a future where we overcome that which limits us, our greed, our violence, our self-destructive capabilities. Overwatch is set in that mold, where there is always need for heroes who sacrifice personally for humanity's greater good. In that way, Blizzard hopes that we invest in the culture of Overwatch, not just the game. Through that prism then, the choice to make a very diverse cast that includes gay characters, autistic characters, and characters of all genders and races from all over the world could be said to reflect their global ambitions for the game. The worldwide Overwatch League doesn't seem as far-fetched when you understand where Blizzard are coming from. Just a quick refresher, Blizzard are in the process of setting up a global competitive pro league, with various cities having a franchise. There'll be a combine, which is where pros play show games, and the teams will draft their rosters. It's a very ambitious idea, but they feel the potential is there, which is why they're currently opening the bidding for these team franchises to major players from the world of media and sport. With this in mind, if their goal is to create a world with characters that literally anybody could follow and identify with, then it perhaps follows that they might also want to follow the highest level of competition. It could also be the first esport with genuinely mixed gender teams. I'm not going to automatically stereotype female gamers as being mercy mains. Overwatch as a game has enough room in it for virtually any skill set. No other game has even come close to this yet. All the other esports success stories have been predominantly populated by men. Counter-Strike, StarCraft, League, all the elite teams are male. If Overwatch could break that barrier, they would potentially have a much larger viewing population. Even the biggest current esports games couldn't rival serious investment from both sexes. This is why Blizzard are trying to auction their teams off to major sports groups. They feel like they've laid the groundwork for a genuine genuinely groundbreaking cultural phenomenon. Even the world of sport hasn't managed this. The closest could be argued to be the Olympic Games, but even there the sexes do not directly compete against each other despite attracting massive worldwide interest. You can thank the nature of international competition for that. Or what's that you say? The Overwatch League will be international, you say? It's almost like they've planned all of this. One other way that Overwatch is likely to mirror major sports leagues or cultural movements is by promoting good causes through the game and its surrounding media. Just as the NFL takes steps to include events surrounding breast cancer awareness and the like, Blizzard is very likely to do the same, or even create their own campaigns to try and bring the game's optimism into the real world. We as fans can expect Blizzard to absolutely maximize the avenues with which these characters and their world are presented to us. Warcraft got a live-action movie. Not a great one, but it was in cinemas for fans to go and see. The narrative elements of Overwatch have been spread across multiple mediums. The cinematics are incredibly popular. Blizzard are quick to encourage cosplay, fan art, even turning some memes into emotes. All of this points to Blizzard wanting Overwatch to be more than just a game, more than the sum of its parts. All of us watching this and playing the game are early adopters. We're on the ground floor. And as such, this much larger view can sometimes seem very distant when you're just trying to grind out of gold or get that new skin. But it's there, in the DNA of the heroes you're picking and the world they exist in. Could Overwatch become as culturally important as Star Wars or Star Trek? Could we be looking forward to the next Overwatch International like we do the next Olympics? In a lot of ways, it's really hard to say as it's so early. But if the sales figures are anything to go by, Blizzard stand a good chance of making it work. One can hope, I guess. If you like the video, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss one of our videos again, click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in good company. Please check out our Discord, where you can join one of the biggest Discord communities for Overwatch out there. If you want to see us tilt live for your enjoyment, please check out our Twitch channel, which will be linked in the description. Also, finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitters, where you can find updates about new videos and streams. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time,